Good morning. Welcome, everyone. Thank you all for being here. Is that too loud? Thank you all for being here. We really appreciate your support and attendance this morning for this really fascinating general membership meeting about small businesses. I'd like to start off with the Pledge of Allegiance. Nick, could you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance? Everybody.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
How about a moment of silence for Pearl Harbor?
Thank you. So, my name is Janet Connors. I am your 2022 Vice President and substituting today for Kimberly Wake, who is on vacation in Mexico. And this morning, I would like to introduce our breakfast sponsor, Summit State Bank. Thank you, Summit State Bank, for your continued support of Sonoma County Alliance. Summit State Bank is a strong advocate for small businesses, and we're grateful for their sponsorship. It is my pleasure to introduce my friend, CEO and President of Summit State Bank, Brian Lee.
You said a half hour? No, we're really happy to be here. Thank you, Janet. You know, we've been a long-time member of the Alliance. Really love all the work the Alliance has done throughout the years. And also to support Janet in her leadership roles here has been really a pleasure to watch her grow within the organization. And just a little something about Summit State Bank. For those that don't know, we've been here for 40 years, and we're now $1 billion bank. We have only branches in Sonoma County. We're homegrown here. We're staying here. 5 branches in Sonoma County, and we have over 100 employees in Sonoma County. So it's just been a real fun ride to be with a local organization and to support other local organizations. Our focus is on small business lending, and we have a very heavy bent toward nonprofits as well, just to help our community. And so it was our pleasure to sponsor this breakfast this morning, especially given the topic today, which is so pertinent to Sonoma County in being able to continue to create a vibrant economy going forward as so many businesses struggled and some decided or went out of business, and now other small businesses are starting up, and they need the assistance of organizations like Hello Alice, and to get them to the point where the banks can help them out. So we're really proud to be a sponsor today, and it's great to see everyone again.
And now I'd like to invite Tony Spitzman to come up to the podium. Tony's been a longtime member of the Alliance and her company 707 Promotions. She has graciously created and donated Sonoma County Alliance pins for all members, which will be distributed today during the self-introductions. So Tony, would you like to say a couple of words?
Thank you very much. So I'm Tony with 707 Promotions. And yeah, I'm responsible for these pins that we're providing. Because it's been a tough few years for the Sonoma County Alliance. We've had fires, floods, pandemics, and then we've had some self-inflicted wounds too. But we're addressing our issues. We set up a diversity, equity, and inclusion committee, and we've done some tough work. And then we've also had some membership challenges where numbers were low. We really rallied and recruited some new members, and I'm seeing a much more more dynamic alliance. Long-term members are reinvigorated, new members are bringing in more ideas and different perspectives. I'm really excited about where we're going. So these pins are a symbol of our resilience through a difficult period, and also our pride in being a member of the Alliance. So I hope you'll wear these when you're out meeting other business leaders, chamber meetings, networking groups, anywhere you're meeting, quite honestly, potential members. So I hope that you'll wear these with pride and enjoy being part of the Alliance.
And I'd also like to thank Don Mills and Sound Ideas for their continued videography of our GMM. I'd like to thank last month's sponsor, Adobe and Associates, Dave Brown and Aaron Smith. Please mark your calendars for our 2023 kickoff GMM, where we will have Rob Eiler give his economic forecast. And then today's program affords us all the ability to donate to the Sonoma County Alliance Small Business Grant Fund before the conclusion of the GMM by using the QR code on your table. I did this for the first time a couple months ago when the Boys and Girls Club were here, and you donate and they got the funds before we left the meeting. It was fun. The purpose of this program is to support the rejuvenation and growth of Sonoma County small businesses, prioritizing business owners who traditionally lack access to capital. The grants range between $1,000 and $5,000 and are awarded to local businesses looking to make a capital investment in their future. Now, is Chris Wilson here this morning? Would you like to come up and facilitate the self-introductions? And then Ty, were you going to hand out the pins? And before we do that, I'm going to just introduce myself and my guest at my table. So again, my name is Janet Connors. I'm your 2022 Vice President. My day job is with Summit State Bank as a commercial real estate lender. And I would like to introduce Kathy Safford, Elizabeth Gore, and Jillian Benvenuti, who's not here right now, all from Hello Alice. Terry Gray from Core Electric, Marco Suarez from the Economic Development Board, Joe Misch from Temple Massage Inc. He's one of our panel speakers today, Roberta Ryan from Ryan Design, and then Arthur Cheney and Dr. Greg Granderson from the 100 Black Men. Thank you.
Good morning, Ryan Kelly, WSI Smart Digital Marketing. I have a guest with me, Jefferson, who is our marketing consultant.
Scott Kincaid, Facility Development Company, and I have as my guest Samantha Rodriguez, Vice Mayor, City of Runner Park.
Brian Ling, Real Estate Services.
David Higley, Summit State Bank, and Vice Mayor of Healdsburg.
Kim August, Summit State Bank.
Bob Sonnenberg, CEO of the Earl Baum Center.
Steve Burlwell with Friends of Smart.
Good morning, Mike Martini, Cass Street Winery, and I have a guest this morning, Terry Sanders.
Good morning, Mick Menendez, Pacific Advisors.
Diana MacDonald, North Bay Commercial Services.
Kurt Nichols, retired.
Art Dexter, Leduc & Dexter, and Super Service Plumbing.
Ross Oskin, Century 21, Epic.
Morning, John Cregan, Santa Rosa Chief Police.
Brian Reed, Summit State Bank.
Hi, I had to get the mic again. You guys may have seen my picture around town. They have read a few stories about me in the PD. But what I wanted to do is just take a second to thank the Alliance as an organization for the support that you gave to me and our campaign, my candidacy. It really meant the world to me. And the many of you individually in this room who took a minute just to come and connect with me, look me in the eye, shake my hand, exchange really kind words of encouragement. You extended grace to me and my family, my mother, my wife, my son. And I just wanted to let you know that it meant so much to me then, and it means so much to me now. And I've learned a lesson. One, watch what you text to people. And also that there are many other ways to serve other than being on the city council. And that's evidenced by the leaders that are in this room. And I will use you as my example as I move forward. I won't be on the dais, but I'm not going anywhere. And come January, game on.
If you have brought a guest, please, for the guest, give me their business card for the drawing. Do we have wine this morning? We do. Okay.
Steve Click, Bauer Geotechnical. Kevin Zugo, CFA Structural Engineers.
Good morning, Lori Rooney, North Bay Biz Magazine, and I have a guest, Lawrence Amatoro from Amatoro Sonoma Media Group. Danny Sheehan with Friends of Smart.
Chuck Brew, Double Eagle Financial, where cash is king.
Rob Sandhill, KLH Consulting, and I am on the advisory board for this lovely organization as well.
Good morning, Frank Darian, Bertoloni Realty.
Good morning, Doug Williams, retired.
Good morning, Tony Spisman with 707 Promotions, and this is my guest, Patrick Hulton. He's my new assistant.
Joe Gaffney, St. Vincent de Paul.
Good morning, Carly Rodriguez, Mid-State Construction.
Mark Nelson, Mid-State Construction.
Don Mills, 7 Ideas Media, and now a minority partner in Cuvée Belgian Brewery.
Good morning, Juliana Graham, Wells Fargo Bank, and SCA Fortune.
Good morning, Dale Schroeder, Boys and Girls Clubs of Sonoma Marin.
Scott Athens, Beneficial State Bank.
Jackie Patrick, Summit State Bank.
Joel Lorraine, Summit State Bank.
Rick Carlisle, BKF Engineers.
Good morning, Ken LaFranchi, Architect.
Good morning, Tanya Tosconi, CEO, Sonoma Marin Fair, and I own a company called Tosconi Event and Management Solutions.
Gary Lentz, Lone Depot Home Loans.
Good morning, Carolina from Seniors Inc.
Dan Condren, member of SCA.
Good morning, Dennis Harder, retired.
Good morning, David Brown, Adobe Associates, Civil Engineers and Land Surveyors.
Eileen Freiberger, early retiree, seeking to revitalize myself.
Good morning, Gabriel Cox, Personal Perspective.
Good morning, Katie Hillenmeyer, Providence Health.
Good morning, Teresa Scott, Western Health Advantage.
Good morning, Ernest Berghoff, broker and CEO at Berghoff Realty.
Bill Bolster, Electro-Optical Components and the Rotary Club of Williamsburg.
Did I get everyone? And I'm Chris Wilson with the Historic Railroad Square Association. Okay, that's great. Granderson. Greg Granderson. You just got about a one.
Sorry.
So now I'd like to introduce our program for today and give you a little background. In 2020, Sonoma County Alliance identified small businesses as a priority. And in 2021, Marlene Soyland and Brian Ling met with Elizabeth Gore to discuss the financial needs of small businesses. What developed was a collaboration between Sonoma County Alliance and Hello Alice, where Sonoma County Alliance members make a donation, that's a charitable contribution, for the benefit of qualifying Sonoma County small businesses. In 2022, the first round of funding was provided to 5 Sonoma County small businesses. Today, we will hear from 2 of the owner grant recipients from our inaugural program, Roberta Ryan and Joe Niche. Roberta Ryan is a certified professional career coach and knows that when a business is aligned with the owner's values, expertise, and wisdom, there is a far greater chance for success. As a successful business owner and coach, Roberta has learned how to help others step out of their own way and into their value. Since 2003, she has been helping innovative entrepreneurs transform their vision into a tangible working reality that is sustainable over the long term. Her clients are entrepreneurs who are passionate about their work, but uncertain how to bring their great ideas into reality. She brings compassion, practicality, and decades of business expertise to her mission of empowering entrepreneurs so they can move their business forward with clarity and confidence. Roberta is a certified positive intelligence coach and a certified coactive coach. And in 2015, she completed her first ebook, Know Your Value, How Owning Your Worth Impacts Your Income. Let's welcome Roberta Ryan. Joe Niche is an entrepreneur and innovator of the patented Temple Massager device, a product that has been donated to U.S. service members, veterans, and first responders. The product delivers cranial massages, acupressure, and aromatherapy, and the Temple Massager Inc. is a disabled, veteran-owned, and operated business. The product is used for drug-free and non-invasive relief of stress and anxiety. Joe has been recognized for his invention by the North NBC Bay Area TV, the San Francisco Chronicle, the Press Democrat, U.S. Veterans Magazine, North Bay Biz, and more. Joe is a combat engineer and construction equipment operator for the U.S. Army Reserves National Guard from 1987 to 1998. Thank you, Joe. Joe is also a licensed private pilot and certified at Marin Scuba Diving. And Elizabeth Gore, well, we are so pleased and grateful to have Elizabeth Gore back to share with us changes in Hello Alice, lessons learned over the past year, and the future of small businesses. Elizabeth is the co-founder and president of Hello Alice, a multi-channel platform which helps businesses launch and grow by providing access to funding, networks, and services. Elizabeth is an entrepreneur and innovator whose resume is incredulously varied and amazing, and one I would recommend that you research online. Please help me welcome Elizabeth Gore, Roberta Ryan, and Joe Niche to the stage.
Well, howdy, everyone. Good morning. Good morning. Well, did we make it? What a year. I think we all thought that if I look back on living in Sonoma County, running a business here, and the 5-year anniversary of the fires in 2017, I think every year we thought, wow, this would be the hardest year to run a business, right? Yeah, everyone's laughing like, whoo. So we've had, on top of COVID, and I'll get positive quick, but I just want to level set, 11 declared natural disasters in 7 years in this county. And when you talk about business and resilience, we serve at Hello Alice 1.2 million small business owners across the country, all 50 states. But this county, I always come to as an example to lift up about resilience. Then you layer in COVID on top of it, and a very tough, uncertain economy. And I like shaking the hand of every small business owner, whether they made it or did not in this county. So I commend all of you as business leaders. I hope that you either rested or drank a lot, I don't know which, to make it through. But it's a real pleasure to be with y'all today, and I just want to commend all of you at the Alliance. You know, the Alliance went through some deep thinking, some serious gut checks, as we call it, internal navel gazing, to figure out, you know, what was the future. And I think that emulated the entire country of what's the future of diversity and inclusion, what does equity really mean, and then particularly what we call the new majority of small business: women, people of color, our U.S. veterans, people with disabilities, the LGBTQ plus community. They are the new majority of small business. So you know, you're sitting up here with a U.S. veteran, amazing women's leader, and if we are not inclusive in ensuring equitable access to capital and resources to the new majority, we will not succeed as a county or a country. So the fact that the Alliance and all of you stepped up, made a commitment, raised money, and also beyond financial support, made sure that the people sitting in this room mirrors the people in our county. I think that's incredibly important. And I'll just repeat what you all have done this year with 5 grants awarded to Sonoma County small business owners. And I'm just going to push again that there are QR codes on your table to donate again. I think it's really important. A lot of people ask me, why would you donate to a for-profit business? And you know, small businesses, if you look at the average cash flow sitting in the bank of reserves, if there's an issue, is maybe 6 weeks. And so if you think about you know, fires being closed, floods being closed, we had power outages, and then COVID, I think it's really important to consider that to get our small business owners on their feet and to flourish. It's not charity, it's actually you're creating jobs, you're strengthening the economy, and you're ensuring we succeed as a community. So I just wanted to commend the Alliance. A lot of people talked about change the last couple of years and the fact that you're doing it. So I'd actually like you to give yourselves a round of applause for stepping forward. Oh my goodness. So we ran a data set. We love data at Hello Alice, and as a reminder, we're a free resource that ensures equitable access to capital to small business owners around the country, particularly credit, loans, grants, government funding. 90% of our small business owners are in the new majority category. 51% of our small business owners identify as Black or African American. We have about 20% Latinx. We have a very large military connected community, so thank you again for your service. And I grew up in an Air Force household, so don't hold it against me, Army. So, and then we have 75% women on the platform. And again, this is not charity, it is the most commercially viable group of people that are running businesses in our country, is the way we look at it. But we run a lot of data to ensure that we're supporting small businesses owners and really seeing what their needs are. So we ran a data set in this county, and I believe we had almost 9,000 people respond. And it's really interesting, 65% of the small business owners that responded are women. 10% are military connected, so that means they're U.S. veterans, a military spouse, or growing up in a military household. The number one, and I commend Summit State Bank for being here, but the number one barrier is raising or finding capital or a loan in our county. And so, and that might be a duh, but actually sometimes it's, we actually see growing customer base, access to business services. So it shows that we still need to push for access to capital in our county. Let's flip to the positive. I promised I would. There's a really positive outlook. So 75% of small business owners here in the state of California are optimistic. They are also investing in software more than they've ever done. They also see that the cost of doing business, as far as just starting a business, has lowered, while the cost of goods sold is higher. So we're all still facing inflation right now, and we're all still facing supply chain issues. So particularly in the ag community here, I know we're facing that a lot. So I'm going to thread some more things in here, but I want to get to our guests and have this be a dynamic conversation. And I also encourage all of you to ask questions, because I think we can learn a lot for each other. So I'm going to start with Joe. And one, tell us about your product, because I think that's the most exciting thing we have here.
Okay.
I'm going to hand you the mic. I'll hold it for you. You're welcome to test it on me.
Well, first let me say I'm really grateful to be here and appreciate everybody's engagement. And you're absolutely right, it was very scary going through fires. I live in West County, was going through that twice. You know, the pandemic was scary. I came very close to potentially, you know, losing the business and made some really strong decisions. And sometimes when you're making those decisions, you don't know if they're the right ones at the time. You just have to use the best information to make the best decision at the time. So I want to just echo that we've all been through a lot. And so congratulations to everybody that survived. And my heart goes out to people that lost their business. I know some people that lost their businesses. It's heartbreaking. At the end of my Army career, I'm walking around going like this to some degree. I'm having migraine headaches and tension headaches, and I was basically just massaging my masseter muscle, my temporalis, and it was all from stress. And so, like a lazy caveman army grunt, I was thinking I needed a forked stick of some kind. And so I literally went to buy a temple massager. And it's just ridiculously simplistic, but the thing about it is that when I was engaging my arms and shoulders and my neck to stimulate my temporalis and my masseter, I'm engaging like 400 times more musculature than the totality of my masseter and the temporalis. So that's like picking up 10 pounds to move 1 pound. That's called grossly inefficient. So to me, this was a tool of convenience. It was a tool of efficiency. And so I added an aromatherapy pad, so it delivers cranial massage, acupressure, aromatherapy, and it adjusts. And so for me, it was a matter of solving a problem that I was experiencing. And so you start looking at demographics and statistics, and there's 40 million people that deal with headaches in this country. And there's 30 million people in this country that deal with TMJ, temporomandibular disorder, temporomandibular joint disorder. And so the thing about this is that we ended up in a mental health capacity. And so because I served with you guys that gave all, and somebody in this room might know Michael Ottolini. He was my supervisor. He was killed in action in Iraq, and he was from the 579th Engineer Battalion. And Mike was my supervisor. And I got out after 13 years. Mike went on to get deployed, and Mike gave the ultimate sacrifice. And so for me, it jogged a memory when I was a young man, 20 years old, in the Army Reserve training. We lost a soldier who drowned, and I was the last guy in the water trying to rescue him. Private Curtis Young from Oakland, California. And so through all the ups and downs and ins and outs of developing a business, learning plastics, learning mold building, learning patenting, and seeking out and finding manufacturers, which this is made in Sonoma County. This is a molded product that's made here in Sonoma County. So that was not easy because there's lots of ins and outs, and there's a lot of people that want to interfere with your progress to get a fee out of you. So I ended up giving the product away. And so I've donated over 5,000 temple massagers to service members and veterans around the world. It's been used in combat in Afghanistan, Iraq, literally at forward operating bases. Started donating to Walter Reed National Military Medical Center. They put the product in behavioral health, chaplain's office, and resiliency clinic. We ended up donating to Bethesda Naval National Intrepid Center of Excellence. And so it goes on, and I've worked extensively with California veterans, so I've donated probably the majority of products here to the Veteran Service Organization. And one of our champions was a Dr. Vanessa Gertz, who's worked with combat vets for over 20 years. And so that's kind of where it came from, and I'll stop there.
Yeah, let's see. Show us.
So here's how you use it. We're asking me to show you. So you just basically adjust the pressure. These massage tips are reversible, so that's an acupressure point. And it's ridiculously simple, but yet it's effectively stimulating for the trigeminal nerve and facial musculature to relax it. So it comes with a lotion that you put on that has arnica, St. John's wort for pain relief and inflammation. And so you also can work down your jaw, but that's not going to happen while I'm talking.
Thank you. Awesome. And I'm going to thread in data points as you all bring up great topics, but Joe talked about built here in Sonoma County. You might see in the news that there has been almost 11,000 people laid off in San Francisco and down in Menlo Park. And while our hearts go out to these individuals, I do think it is an opportunity for us to create some pretty amazing jobs here in Sonoma County. And so I think I see Marco Suarez here, and I think the EDB and other areas are really thinking through, we've had a lot of tough times attracting talent here in Sonoma County. And I encourage all of you as business owners to really think about attracting new talent up to Sonoma County as it relates to your businesses. This is the time to do it. Kathy Sappert is our head of human resources, a longtime Sonoma County resident, and it's just something to think about, because the more we can attract talent and new resources to Sonoma County, new businesses, so it's built here, made here, and so on, I think that's pretty exciting. So Roberta, I'm so excited that you're here. The amount of lives that you've impacted, whether it was through coaching, leadership, or so on, we're just excited to hear about your business and what you're up to.
Okay. Thank you. Well, I also feel just like Joe, a lot of gratitude for your generosity and your vision of bringing forth this grant. And of course, I appreciate Hell Alice for the competency and how they've managed it. I was really, really honored to receive the grant. It was validating, empowering to have individuals that I didn't know look at this grant I proposed and say yes. And I was aware of the number of grants that they looked at. So it has allowed me to make a shift, a pivot that I had imagined for a very long time. But let me go back a little bit to history. And one thing I should really start with is that I'm a total business geek. I read the books, I go to the workshops, I'm constantly spending time trying to understand more about what makes a small business tick. Many years, I've been in business almost 20 years now, but quite a long time before I went into business, I noticed something in small business owners in my community, that two of them in the same community doing the same profession could have really vastly different levels of success. Where one would be comfortable and prosperous and really easy to be around, and another one in the same profession could be struggling, unsure how to make things work, and perhaps always challenged around their cash flow. And when I noticed that, I realized that some of the stories we hear about it being the economy or the profession that someone is in isn't completely true in terms of our success, that there was something else. And when I recognized that, I got curious. So that's really been the thread throughout my adult life pretty much about why. Why are some small businesses, especially solopreneurs, individuals, why are some successful and some aren't? So I kind of reverse engineered it over a number of years. And one of the things there's a number of things, and of course, as you probably can guess, I could talk about this for a day or two. But one of the things that I find really fascinating is that many of the businesses that struggle, chronically struggle with around their success, is that they haven't yet been exposed to some of the foundational business principles of business. So it's as if a lot of the advisors and the programs out there are at an algebra level and they haven't learned the arithmetic of business. So my place in the business coaching world has been at that arithmetic level with people. I'll often have someone drawn to me that's been in business for a while, they've taken the programs, they've had advisors, and it's still not working. And so over the course of the initial 6 months that I work with them, we really, really take an honest look at the business and look at the structures and what are some of the groundings, the foundational principles that they have so that they can shift it. So they're not only solving the problem that they came to me for, they also are becoming better business people. They're learning to look at situations and evaluate them. Did I answer your question? Okay, good. Thank you.
So one of the topics we were asked to address was, I think very important, the mental health of small business owners and entrepreneurs, and which you mentioned and you talked about one business owner versus the next one. And the one thing that I have this kind of back of my mind concern for our small business owners this year is uncertainty. What we find is entrepreneurs do really well in crisis. So we mentioned the fires. In COVID, it was survive, cash flow, or declare bankruptcy in a responsible way so it doesn't ruin your credit. And then in growth times, it is run, go as hard as you can. I think where I certainly do, but we all struggle with uncertainty is, as entrepreneurs, our mentality is here's a path, here's what we're going after, and so on. This year is going to be a really funky year, and you can see it in all the news magazines and so on right now is we're going to have a downturn, we're not going to have a downturn. You have Jamie Dimon at JP Morgan saying one thing and someone else saying another. And I think the difficulty with that is just the pure, what do I plan for? And so, what I'm encouraging everyone, and I'm going to come back to you, Roberta, as a coach, is leaving room in 3 areas: money, marketing, and me. So on the money side is, we talked about diversifying cash flow during COVID, but it's even more important now. So, we have banks in this room. It's time to get to know your banker even more so before you need it. If you've never thought about a line of credit, maybe now's the time to think about it. Where you can cut costs before you need it, do it. So really thinking about that. Marketing is, customer behavior right now is also super funky. People are still not going into stores as much as they did, but we just had on the other side a record online Black Friday and Cyber Monday, right? And so talking to your customers, really seeing how they pivot, seeing how they change, and the best way to do that is to engage with them as much as possible. Get information from them. So your marketing is going to pivot and change. TikTok, y'all, is now in the top 3 ways that small business owners are selling goods. Had y'all heard of it 3 years ago? And there's an assumption that TikTok is for young people. It's silly. It is now it has surpassed Google AdWords on ways to sell goods. So when I say that marketing is changing and pivoting, it really is. The third area when I said me is you as business owners. really thinking about your own mental health, how do you get through uncertainty, knowing that ideas are gonna fail because we're all trying to figure this out right now. Getting out of isolation, talking to each other, coming to meetings like this is just critical. So those are 3 areas of going into uncertainty. And Roberta, I'd love to hear your point on what you're telling others. And then Joe, you've lived through a lot of uncertainty, and I'd love to hear your personal advice on it.
Well, one of the pieces that I've begun to work more and more on with clients is the ability to make good decisions. To be able to, I think it's really the core of business savvy, is to be able to evaluate a situation and make the best decision. So building that skill, I think, is one of the ways to build resilience, is to, if it's not something that you're good at, develop it. And so, which actually is curious because it brings me to the use of this grant, of how I'm using it. I was awarded a grant to hire a consultant to put some of my work on a learning platform. What that means is that when I'm doing group programs, instead of the time spent with the group going over the material before we meet one-on-one, or I'm sorry, one in a group, they would have videos. The material would be online, and it allows me to scale. It allows me to touch more people. And the first program that I'm putting together in January is about decision making, because I realized that we are all solving problems is about business. It's we're either solving our own or we're solving someone else's. So whether it's strategic planning, decision making, or problem solving, it's all the same thing. And once we develop the capacity to actually understand it, slow down, back up, really look at the situation with an owner's mind, the developing ability to be an owner, it develops the capacity to handle whatever comes to you with more grace, is the word that comes to mind. So, thank you.
So, yeah, mental health after going through everything, I felt myself in a crucible, and it's very important to take care of yourself instead of letting the forces at work grind you down under the risk of losing your business. You know, you can't lose your health and stress skills as part of why this exists. And so, you know, me, I ended up leaning on my military career, so it was all about adapt, improvise, and overcome. And so, I had to make a hard decision. You know, when I saw in January of 19, I think, when COVID started to really kind of take hold, I had X amount of dollars in the bank from the company, and sales were gone. They tanked. You know, I know people that were losing businesses, brick and mortar style. You know, somebody lost a pub in downtown Santa Rosa, and it's kind of almost like it's over here. I'm going to be all right. It's not going to, and then you see it sweeping like I hate to use the analogy of a wildfire, but yeah. And so, you know, I had this horrible decision of, do I take that reserve capital and put it into a building to build on my property? That way I could rent out the downstairs of my personal residence, which is what I did. And that was a hard decision for me, because suddenly there's no capital. I put it into building a building for temple massager. And it's scary when you don't have any backup and there's no capital there, and your sales are gone and tanked. And so I'm fortunate enough to have a construction background, so I picked up construction. I did what I had to do. Don't give up your day job, right? So, and what else would you like me to comment on?
Just your advice on going into uncertainty for other founders.
Yeah, really. Man, I'd say that diversity of your skill set and it's a brawl, man. It was a brawl, you know, and it was due construction. If I heard somebody else was gonna bid on a job, I'd undercut it to the point where I was almost gonna break even, you know, just to keep the flow. Because here's the thing about innovation that I've learned with the telemassager. Like this thing, it was me trying to solve a headache. Well, it's turned into many other things. And so we're dealing with mental health now. I'm talking PTSD, military sexual trauma. I'm engaged with the Veterans Administration, Department of Defense. And so getting to the construction and the survival mode and do whatever you gotta do, let your pride go. Don't be a fool. You know, if you're in a position like I was, where you could lose everything, and you gotta fold it up, don't let your pride get in the way, you know? So I'd be on a construction job, partially just so I could engage with other people in the industry. Because I'd hear somebody's doing something, or they might think about something, or, hey, I'll cut that cost, go rent the excavator, I'll run the excavator, I'll save you money. Just to be in the arena, to be able to find a thread of a survival job, you know, engagement with another contractor or anything. It was just like I said, a brawl. It was like a scrap. And just search everything I could find to stay alive. And so, you know, that was the rudimentary survival mode that I had to go through. And it helped, it worked.
I'm going to encourage, as I keep asking questions, you all to raise your hand. We have a second microphone. So as you have questions or comments on how, what your outlook is for 23, how you've dealt with uncertainty, what you're looking forward to. So, and I'll start picking on you if you don't, Haley. So raise your hand if you have a question. The next thing I'm just going to comment on is I was really surprised by the amount of optimism, just because there's a lot of stuff in the county and the state. You heard me say over 70% of small business owners are actually optimistic moving forward. I think all entrepreneurs crap rainbows. There just tend to be, you know, a very exciting group of people. But I wanted to hear from you all, like, what are you looking forward to? What do you see as the opportunity in this county specifically? And I'll start with you, Joe.
Well, when I first started to engineer this thing and design it from paper to a really cruddy prototype, I went down to Tap Plastics at Santa Rosa Avenue, and I just cut out shapes. I envisioned this thing, and I put pieces and parts together, cut things up, and it was just do whatever you had to do. And so searching out a mold builder, a prototyping person, engineering, I looked around a lot of places, and when I really started visiting operations is when I found there are some hidden gem talents in this county. And I'm lucky I got to work with Design and Prototype in Rover Park. And that's ran by Larry Childs. He happens to be an Air Force veteran. And that guy is golden to me, man. He took an idea off of paper, and we started prototyping. And so this county has, his shop is one of the biggest, best CNC shops, meaning they could take a chunk of steel, aluminum, or anything else and shape anything out of it. A wheel for a car, anything. And so we're lucky we got that guy. And Tom Hansen is my manufacturer. So I've got big, giant steel molds, and Tom's 2 blocks away from him, and he manufactures the temple massager. And so he buys the raw materials, brings them into a shop. He's a mom and pop level guy. So there's manufacturing here. There's a few manufacturers here in this county, and there's engineering here. There's design. You know, I had engagement with Summit Bank, so thank you guys, wherever you may be. And right here. Like it was a while ago. I had troubles, and no bank would talk to me. And you guys actually did, and so for the engagement I had, I'm grateful for that. And so I'm optimistic for my own reasons, because I'm engaged with the Veterans Administration, and believe me, it's not easy to have an idea and get it produced and then actually see your goal of, you know, and in my head I was probably naive, and there's probably a benefit to me not knowing that I didn't know what I was doing. it may sound a little weird, but it might have been a benefit. It was go for it. I believe in my training, you know. I used my GI Bill to go to college. I graduated at Sonoma State. I went to college in Marin. I leaned on my education. I leaned on my military skill set, my military training. I brought every asset that I could possibly find in my world experience to envision something and have a goal, and I stuck to it. And so having people in this county help me was hugely critical. And believe me, I have plenty of investors that I have been to business plan pitch contests from San Diego to Sacramento, and they wanted me to make my product in China. And God bless the people of China, but I happen to be an American. And I knew that my goal was to sell to the VA because I had a new mental health tool. And so the VA's never gonna buy things, DOD's never gonna buy things that are made in China for all kinds of different reasons. But for me, if you wanna call it patriotism, fine. It was about my brothers and sisters. And so I was able to execute my vision with the help of the various business entities in this county, and that's why it's made here in this county.
Thank you.
Well, one of the things I've noticed, my time in business mostly has been Sonoma County. I've been very active in the business community in Sonoma County, but COVID kind of pushed me into being more national, international with my connecting with other business people and my promotion. But as I'm coming back and being active again in Sonoma County, I am so impressed with the innovation and how people have weathered the storm, the COVID issue, where we've been so pushed. And so every day, whether it's through an email or something on social media or somebody I meet, I see people that have taken very difficult situations and learned from it, pivoted their business, became better people, because it isn't just what you do externally, it's how you approach it inside, becoming more aware or kinder or more generous in your community. And so every day, in one way or another, I'm seeing the innovation that's happening locally, including with Hello Alice.
We have a question here.
Good morning. First panel, thank you guys for being here. You're doing a great job. It's really fun to hear what's going on in the county and how it's working. Joe, this question is for you, sir. Would you mind telling us what you did with the grant money that you received and how it affected your business?
Yeah, absolutely. So I literally have letters from combat commanders at Fort Operating Base that the product was helping with combat stress relief. These guys were in gunfights every day, okay? And then I start hearing it from Djibouti, Bahrain, Iraq, and so it's corroborated anecdotal data. And so in my mind, you know, what we were all hearing was the stress level in schools was bad. And it was detracting from students' ability to focus on their academics, which is what they're there to do. And so this mental health problem issue came up, and it's real, you know. I mean, believe me, I'm a former grunt, and you suck it up and shut your mouth and drive forward kind of attitude, right? No matter what you're thinking or feeling, there's a mission to be taken care of. And so, for me, I had to learn that, you know, I had some of my own mental health issues. And so it became a real gravitational thing that this is real, you know, people aren't just being whiners or snivellers or whatever. And so I started looking and hearing all these commentary about schools having stress problems. Well, here I am working with the VA and mental health and DOD and veterans community, and I work with first responders, and it was the same thing, you know. Wow, shockingly big surprise, getting your temple massage feels good. So I was like, I think I can do something for schools. Well, coming out of COVID, I didn't have the money, which means I didn't have the time, because I'm also torn with having to work, do construction, and then work at night, you know, reading medical papers, working on the product. Makes you a really exciting guy, by the way. And so I focused on schools, and I started reaching out to my community, the veteran community around the country, and I worked with a Navy veteran, and he works with his company is Wave Strategy, and he's out of Ohio. And I said, Matt, I got a couple schools, like we got engagement with Richmond School District. We had some engagement with Santa Fe School District. And sometimes people are not excited about something new that, you know, what's this wacky thing, right? So people judge, and that's cool, I get it, it's new, you've never seen it before. The first TV probably looked weird. So Matt engaged with the 2 largest high schools in the state of Ohio. And I said, Matt, look, if I'm seeing it from veterans, first responders, combat soldiers, it's got to help with students as well. Okay, well, that's a lot of communications and outreach and getting products out. Well, I didn't have the money. And so, you know, the grant that you guys issued paid for products to be manufactured. I literally would go down to the factory in Roder Park and say, hey, I need 100 or I need 50. These guys believed in what I was doing so much, they don't give me minimums. Well, you got to buy 1,000 or I'm not going to deal with you. They were cool. They were flexible. We're local. You know, we're brothers and sisters. And so they gave me the ability to buy small quantities that I could turn around, assemble, package, and ship to Ohio. Well, that money came from this grant, straight up. And so, you know, this is a live wire thing. So I just got feedback this morning, sitting in the parking lot before I walked in here, and but more importantly, about 10 days ago, that's about 15 days ago, I found out that the principal of the school, Mentor High School, public school in Ohio, said, hey Joe, we're working with Crossroads Health, a private sector healthcare company. And they have a mental resiliency team that we had contracted with to come into the schools. I handed your products off that you guys sent to them. And so I'm like, wow, that's huge. I have not been able to deal with, engage with, communicate with private sector healthcare people. And so this was a first. And so they got the products. I didn't hear anything. And of course, I'm very anxious to know. And I'm just bird dogging my email. Like, I got a dashboard on that thing, man. And so weeks goes by, nothing, and you know, your heart sinks a little bit. You're like, man, is this gonna work or not? And there's a million reasons why it may or may not work. And a lot of it's out of your control. One person may get it and benefit from it. This next person's gonna be like, I ain't got time for this ridiculousness. You never know what you're gonna get. Which is why you gotta blanket things, you know? That 1 in 100 maybe, right? So about a week ago, I heard back from Crossroads Healthcare, and they said, and now that communication went to the principal, and then it went to me and Wave Strategy, and they said, we are seeing consistent response of anxiety-induced headache relief in our students from that. And the money that your organization granted to my company made that happen. And so today, this morning I got an email, and the person at Crossroads Health got back to me, because we're all gonna have a meeting, we're gonna set up better data points and structure this more and get more out of it. They said, Joe, this is definitely a calming effect. And so that money is exactly why that engagement and those results are coming in, and we're helping students now. And I would love to engage with anybody in this room to further extend that to other schools in our region. And that's an amazing thing to me, to be able to help people in ways that I never saw coming.
Thank you. If you have other questions, please raise your hand. I'm going to switch and ask Roberta. One of the areas that we were asked to discuss this morning is pockets in Sonoma County that we need to keep an eye on and continue to strengthen as it relates to small business. Two things, both anecdotal and data-wise. So women have been adversely impacted with COVID because of the care economy, both with childcare and elder care. And so one of the areas we're really trying to make sure is that women might have stepped out of their job, the workforce, and so on. Men as well, but women tend to shoulder this burden a little bit more. So ensuring that they get back into the work economy workforce, and particularly when they need access to capital, might not have a strong credit history the last few years. The other is 71% of small business owners identify as BIPOC in the state of California. We are much lower than that here in Sonoma County, so it's an area we need to ensure we're keeping an eye on, strengthening, ensuring equitable access to capital. Roberta, I'd love your thoughts on areas that we can all be supportive and really think about to continue to strengthen for small business owners.
The one area that I'm the most familiar with, that I see the most struggle, is with solopreneurs, really women solopreneurs and people that are in the more creative or intuitive fields. So they might be graphic artists or coaches or health practitioners in some way. I see that they really can use not only just some basic education about business, just to support, to know that it's possible. There's the belief about it being possible, that they could, that's where I see the need, even just to reach out, for them to even reach out and ask for help, or to believe it's possible for them to support themselves in the work that they found that they love, is a hurdle.
Well, I'm going to close us out and encourage you all again to think about contributing to our small business owners. The Sonoma County Alliance and Hello Alice don't take any overhead out of the contributions. We're all donating our services. Jillian Benvenuti at Hello Alice has been leading the program on our side, Sonoma State grad. And if y'all would join me in thanking Roberta and Joe for their contributions today. And again, I'll just thank the Alliance for your contributions to small business, and y'all have an awesome holiday.
Thank you, Elizabeth, Roberta, and Joe. And now I would like to invite membership to go to that QR code, make a contribution. And while you're doing that, are there any other questions for the panelists? Okay. Well, while you're all making your contribution, I'd like to acknowledge our elected officials who came today. David Hagley, Vice Mayor of Healdsburg, Samantha Rodriguez, newly elected Vice Mayor of Roanoke Park, and Diana McDonald, Santa Rosa City Council. Thank you. So as I said before, our panel, our speaker next month is going to be Robert Eiler, Professor of Economics from Sonoma State University, giving us his economic forecast. So I invite you all to join us at that time. Thank you all for coming. If you are a guest, I ask that you consider joining the Sonoma County Alliance. The Alliance is a business advocacy organization, and our strength is our voice, and our voice is our membership. And we would love for you to be a part of that voice. So thank you very much. Have a great day.